Hi everybody, it's Alexis, a level 2 occupational therapy student, and I am continuing my week-long series regarding the ALERT program. So in previous videos I talked about kind of what the ALERT program is, and then the key concepts that help develop the ALERT program, as well as stage 1 of the program. So before I begin anything else, I just want to put out there that if you feel like your child may have some sensory processing impairments, please always contact a certified occupational therapist when you are able to get into a clinic so that they can do an assessment and come up with a personalized sensory diet. So with that being said, for um, stage two is the part where they start to kind of experiment on what methods or sensory like inputs kind of help them like change their engine speeds. So there's 3 mile markers associated with stage 2, and we're going to go over all 3 of those in this video today and then do a quick activity at the end. So the first mile marker is when the leaders who are utilizing the alert program, they start to introduce those sensory motor methods in order for kiddos to help change engine levels. There's 5 different categories of sensory motor methods that can affect the arousal state. So you have oral motor, you have vestibular and proprioceptive. They group those together. You have tactile, you have visual, and then you have auditory. So each of these categories kind of has like different subcategories, I would say. So for example, the oral motor, has 3 different subcategories. So you have action variables, so it's kind of like how you're doing it. So either like chewing, swallowing, biting, sucking, things like that. You have the quality variable, which is how does that variable feel? How does it taste? What's the physical feeling of it? So is it sweet? Is it sour? Is it crunchy? And then you have the medium variables of it. What is it? So maybe you're utilizing a straw, or it's crackers or gum or things like that. So the vestibular and proprioceptive, they have subcategories as well. The first one is up and down movement, so that's jumping or bouncing up and down on like a therapy ball. You have front and back, so that would kind of be like swinging, like at the playground swings, you're swinging forward and backwards. Then you have circles, which when I think of circles, I think of a merry-go-round, which are not that popular nowadays except like at the fair, but that's what it means, like going around in a circle. You could be spinning in a circle, things like that. You have upside down, so you could have your kiddo basically swinging from the monkey bars, but they're by the legs, like they're hanging upside down from the monkey bars. You have heavy work, which is that input to your muscles and tendons and joints. That could be like holding a laundry basket, pushing furniture, things like that. And then you have the crash and bump, which is basically like a kiddo jumping into a pile of pillows or jumping into a big pile of leaves, things like that. Then you have the tactile category, and that is like fidgeting or holding objects. So you can fidget with a pen, you can click the pen, or you have the fidget spinners or the fidget cubes. You have temperature, and that is like what would be considered like a warm bath or a cool shower. You have light touch, which would be more like petting a cat or a dog. And then you have deep touch, which would be like the feeling of like a weighted blanket or deep massage, things like that. Then you have visual, and visual can be the variations in light. So you have dim light, you have bright light, variations in color. So is the wall like a bright pink? Like I used to have my room bright pink and orange, and now it's like the soft cream color. Variations in the amount of like distraction. So do you have a cluttered, messy room? Do you have a clean, organized room? Things like that as well. And then the last one would be the auditory. So that would be like your noise level. Is it really loud? Is it really soft? Rhythm, is the music fast? Is it slow? And then auditory distractions as well. Like, are you able to function in a room with a lot of auditory distractions, or do you kind of need somewhere quiet? Like, I know when I have to do schoolwork, I have to be in a semi-quiet room. Can't have too much distractions around me. So ideally, when you are doing the alert program, you're going to be teaching these different categories over 5 different sessions. so that the kiddo can understand each of the categories. And then we have when the students kind of start to experiment kind of on like the sensory motor preferences, and they are at the point where they are having the leaders identify the sensory motor preferences in the sensory hypersensitivities. So like it's something really not going to work out because it is creating more of a response, things like that. So this is when they're, like I said, going to start exploring the different inputs. And the leaders are going to kind of give feedback on what they think are some good sensory motor strategies for those kiddos, because you want to kind of see like which ones are working and which ones aren't working. And then when you're doing that, you also should be sensitive of like their feelings and how you're kind of redirecting or suggesting new ideas. And then the last mile marker, so that was mile marker 2 out of stage 2. And then the last mile marker would be that students begin experimenting with like chosen strategies. So they kind of explore like how to use them, how they make them feel, things like that. And it kind of helps them understand which ones are going to work best for them. And then also be sure to be patient with the kiddo, because something might not work at first, and then over time, eventually it works out great. So always be patient. So that's kind of what stage 2 is. So I'll give a quick recap. The first mile marker in stage 2 is that the leaders are going to introduce sensory motor preferences. The second one is leaders are going to help identify those sensory motor preferences. And then the third one is when students start to experiment with the sensory motor preferences. So for this activity, it's going to be kind of with mile marker 6. So kind of like exploring the sensory motor preferences. So all you have to do for this one is look up different sensory motor preferences that fall into each of those 5 categories. So what's something that could help with like through the oral motor input, vestibular and proprioceptive input, tactile input, visual input, and then auditory input. So what I just did is I got on Google, I typed in like chewing gum or blowing bubbles, petting a cat, things like that. So all you're going to do is look up different sensory motor strategies, and then you're just going to print them out and then cut them out, and then you are going to want the kiddos to kind of identify what sensory motor like category that would fall under. So I'm going to go grab the pictures that I had, and I will be right back. Alright, so I have some pictures here. So basically what you could do is maybe you could even like fold them up and then maybe put them in a bowl or something like that and have the kiddos pick it out, so it's like more interactive and not just like, alright, well, what do you think this picture is of? Things like that. So you got to kind of make it a little bit more entertaining. So what I would do is I would print the pictures out, fold them up, put them in a bowl or a hat or something like that, and have those kids pick them out. And then if they do end up getting it wrong, you can explain to them why they got it wrong. And then maybe at the end you could try some of the sensory motor strategies that you did end up printing out. So for the first one, what I'm going to have you do is I'm going to show you the picture. I want you to pause the video, and then when you think you know the answer or your kiddo knows the answer, unpause the video and then see if you got it right. So for the first one, we have some gum. So I want everybody to kind of think about what strategy this might be. So go ahead and pause the video, and then when you have an answer, unpause it. So this one would be the oral motor because it's gum, and this one would most definitely increase my like level of like arousal. So I'd probably be like, if I was in a low gear, this would probably get me to be just right. So this is the next one, classical music. So we're just going to repeat it, pause the video, and then unpause it when you think you have the answer. So this is going to be the auditory one, so classical music. Some people like, I don't know, hip-hop, but if I'm going to be doing work, I need something more soothing. I'll do about 2 more. So then I have this one where they're crashing into pillows and jumping over things. So this one is going to be the vestibular proprioceptive one. So hopefully you guys got that right. And then the last one I'm going to do is this woman petting her pet. So this one is most definitely going to be tactile. Very soothing, very calming. If you're in a high level, like the high gear, this may help calm you down just right. So that's kind of like how the activity would go. Super simple, super easy. So in the next video, I'm going to be talking about stage 3 of the alert program, which is the last stage of the program. So tune in for the next video.